Hello, and welcome to another episode of Smashing the Sudoku, our series looking backwards at some of our first puzzles as well as forwards to the future of Grandmaster puzzles. Today's viewer question from Abby A. That's a really interesting name. Really gets to the heart of that look backward, look forward theme, which will be a theme for our next 10 years, which is, do you think Grandmaster puzzles has been a success? Now, for us, like that question gets us to think about the spirit of the founding, and maybe even Abbey A in different ways is making us think about the spirit of the founding in a certain time and place. But we mean today to do that about the spirit of the founding of Grandmaster Puzzles. And so when we think about that, this is one of the pages on our site, not our blog. If you go to kind of the parent website, we always said that our story would be about bringing handcrafted logic puzzles by the best puzzle designers for all who love puzzles. And the theme that Dave Millar helped make for us was a museum theme. You know, we felt that if you make these as works of art, you should be able to have that visual or logical experience really stand apart from anything else, that they would be things that would change people's minds or really motivate and stimulate in different ways, in the same way some of the best art in this world can make people have that. And I think we've achieved that mission in different modes. Like there are some metrics we can keep in mind to kind of look at here. We made a blog post about this like about 6 weeks ago, but through thousands of web posts, through even more book puzzles, we'd love to have more people buying these book puzzles, but through really great and awesome collections from almost 100 different authors from around the world, we've been able to put out really elegant handcrafted designs and not fall into the trap that is most limiting, I think, when people think about going to a website and just picking up anyone's puzzle creation, which is we've never had a broken puzzle or mistakes in our artwork that led to non-unique puzzles. Now, we've had typos on the site and other things like that, but if you've printed our puzzles and tried to solve them, you'll find they have one answer. And if you're confused and think they have more, the mistake's probably yours, and we now have the solutions on the website to kind of help people work through that. That's a milestone that I'm super proud of, and proud with Serkan Yurikli's help as editors for the site. We've been able to maintain that quality of curation to bring the best puzzles to you, to a world of solvers, and now to bring them in different ways. Like we now have digital solving options for almost all of our web puzzles except for 3, as well as several of our books, and the forthcoming books will continue to go this way. We've got solving videos. People that see me at the World Puzzle Championships will tell me how they've gotten better at puzzles through watching the channel and appreciate seeing it. And so when I step back, going back to Abby A's question, do I think Grandmaster Puzzles has been successful? What I think we've been successful at is creating a community of authors to generate the kinds of puzzles we aspire to release. We're still building the community of solvers, and I'd love to have 10 times, 100 times more solvers coming to the website than we do now. But we've got the right content. We are going to figure out new ways to make it accessible to other solvers so that we can say that we're also a successful business. But if you're trying to make art, the first thing you're not trying to do when you make art is try to make money from it. Eventually, the art may get the recognition. But if we are behind the art of puzzles, we are doing a great job of bringing that art around the world. And so, again, thinking to the spirit of the founding, thinking to, sort of another way people think about it, we're going to trust the process. Our next 10 years, we're going to continue what we've been doing, but we're going to have some updates. We're thinking about subscriptions. We're thinking about one of the exciting projects we have this year will be the World Sudoku and Puzzle Championships in Toronto, Canada. Will be the main puzzle organizers for that event. And so all these different ways we're going to be trying to grow the community of solvers and competitive solvers more. So a lot of stuff to come, but for the rest of this video, we're going to be looking back at 2 puzzles that one day it was a countdown and the other day was a count up. We're going to do them in the other order. The key order for today is Outside Sudoku first and Skyscraper second. The Outside Sudoku has a count up kind of theme. You can see 1 through 9, a lot of different places around the grid except for the bottom row. And the Skyscrapers has a countdown theme, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 across the top, and then a 2 into a 1 on the bottom row. So the rise and fall of puzzles today will be the rest of this video as we talk through these grids. So we're going to start first with this Outside Sudoku, and let me make my video a little larger just because I have a lot of space to do this. Not that you're actually watching my face when I go through this. The thing that's most interesting about this puzzle is just the imbalance of clues. There's so many across the left and top, so I really want to look at the left and top, and this box is the place that they come together. So I'm going to start here. I see a 4, which is a 4. I see a 5, which is a 5. These are forced. The other numbers don't sort of work directly as much, but I can sometimes take clues around them. So I could like put an 8 note in here. There is a 6 which goes directly in. This is a 7. There's a 3 note in one of these cells. Looking to the right, there is a 1 and 2 note, so a 1 goes down below and a 2 is in here or here. And I think that's tracking every number except for the 9. So in my normal Snyder notation, this is going to be the only place a 9 goes and actually has to be a 9. But that isn't trivial to know until you mark everything else in the grid. So this is just one way to start in this corner. Let's keep coming across. The 8 has to be below. The 7 has to be in one of these cells. The 9 is in the bottom 2 because of this 1 on the right. The 1 is also in the bottom 2, so this is a pair. So we'll keep that in mind. The 2 is up or below. The 3 is in the top 2 spaces because of the 3 over here. 4, 5 here is everywhere but this cell because of the 4, 5 there. So it looks like there's something neat about these right clues and these clues. So in this case, the 6, 7 has to be here and here, and the 8, 9 has to be here and here. So actually, we've got 3 pairs right away on the far right of this grid, which means 1, 2, 3. Don't know if you caught that, but that's part of what I was likely excited in constructing was actually true about this grid. I think the hard part was probably choosing these digits so it had one answer, but putting the 1 through 9 series in makes these 3 pairs and 3 sure numbers happen over on this side. 2 is not on the left side here, and 3 is actually not on the left or the middle. So this is 3 pushing over the 2. 1 can't be here or here, so is here. The other 9 is in this space. And all I really know for sure is the 8 has to be on the left, and the 7 can be in any of these spaces. 5, 6 coming down here says 5, 6 is over in these cells. 1 is directly down below. The 2 can't be here, so the 2 is over in this cell. 3 and 4 can't be here, so 3, 4 splits across like this, but there's a 3 up above, so this is 4, this is 3. This 8 has to be in this cell. We now have a 7, 9 to go, but this 9 over on the right says 9 is up above. That puts in the 7. That 9 moves over here. This 7 from below puts in this 7, puts in this 3, puts in this 8, puts in this 2, puts in this 1. That's how Snyder notation works. Just cancel things quickly. The 8s now have to go in this space. The 7 has to go here. This can't be a 5, so a 5 is going to be top or bottom here. That means this is 5, 6. That puts in the 6. A 4 can't be here either, so 4 is down below, 5 is up above. That gave us a lot of progress. Let's actually see if we can finish some of this progress. This 1 gives us 1, 9, gives us 9, 8, gives us 8, 7, gives us 7, 6. Those 6s now forced to be here, gives 2, 3. We have 4, 5 to finish this out, and in this case, 4 can't be in this column, so this is 4, 4, 5, 5. So not the way you expect a puzzle to go, where we actually haven't looked at 4/9 of the grid, but that's how the imbalance of clues in this outside Sudoku force things. So let's try to do the most we can with what still remains. In this case, 2 goes up above. 9 isn't here or here, so this is a sure 9. 7 is pointed to by both directions. 8 is not here. 5 is not in the top row. 6 is not in the top of these rows. 9 is over in these cells. The 6 is left to right, but actually no, there's a 6 down below. The 6 is exactly here. This 5 is not here or here. That 4 is in one of these cells. Now let's come into the center. So we've got like 2 4s, so we're trying to place a 4 here or here. But 4 and 4 means this is just this 4. The 5's coming across, and this 5 from above gives me this 5. The 6 is coming across, and that 6 here gives me a 6. So that's tracking the most used digits we know over here. 4, 2, 9 are pretty good. We got 4 into the center, so let's look at 2 in the center. 2 has to be in one of these cells. 9 is not here or here or here, so 9 is up and down in those spaces. Let's come down here. We've got 2 7s, so the last 7 is in this spot. We've got 2 8s, so the last 8 is down here. We've already put the 9 into the space. That looks like a good start of the things to look at. It's just not yet giving a next placement. Actually, let's do these 7s into the top space. So I've got 2 7s. This actually looks much better. 2 7s with a 7 there means a 7 must be in the cell, pushes over that 4. That's really good. That now actually gives us a 4 node here as well. 5's already tracked in the center, 6 is already tracked in the center. So we've made progress in this box, but it's not yet fully breaking apart. So how can we help ourselves here? Well, let's first look at some of the other numbers. 2 is in one of these cells, 3 is in those 3 cells, 8 is in those cells. 1 is broken apart to be here, and 9 is broken apart to be here. So we actually have a pair with 1 and 9 in this space. So now we can put in the rest of 2, 3, and 8. 8 is now only in these 2 cells, which means it's only in these 2 cells. And actually looks like I shifted over something I shouldn't have done. So with these 2 7s, I can place this 7 and place this 7. So you should make progress in the grid when you can make it. That 7 now means that this bottom row looks really interesting. In part, it's forcing a 1 over here, which forces a 1 over here. What more can I do? Some of the limitations we already have here look pretty interesting. And so I think one thing that's important to do when you have a box like this is notice what's not yet notated. So 1, 2, and 3 are the only missing numbers down here. So I want to look at these empty cells. This can be a 1 or 3. This can get 2 and 3. This can get 2. So this is 2, 6 because of the 1 and 8 there. This actually can't take 1, 2, or 3 at all. So if I actually look at this cell, this is going to be a naked single. So 4, 5, 6, 7 from these regions, and then 8 coming across. This can only be a 9. That 9 gives me a 1, gives me this 1, moves over a 5. That 5 gives me this 5, gives me this 8, gives me this 8. This 5 gives me this 5, which gives me this 8, gives me this 2, 3, 8. That 3 is now just giving me 1 of 3 in these columns, but it's also giving me a 3 in the center, gives me a 2, gives me a 9, gives me a 6. So this is now 2, 3 in the space, but the 3 to the left means 3 up above, gives me a 3 here. Last space for a 2, putting in a 4, putting a 6, putting in a 1, putting in this 1, putting in this 4, putting in a 6. We are through this outside Sudoku, so hopefully you got a nice sense of some of the hidden things at the start, and it looked like at the end a naked single down here, this 9. A little tricky to spot, but that breaks into the last 4 nonettes of this puzzle. So with that puzzle finished, let's go to the skyscrapers. And this has a countdown theme. And so for sure, we're probably going to be using the largest digits, but whenever we have a 1 in the grid, let's start from the smallest digit. And now we'll go from the largest digits. A 7 has to see 7 buildings, so its last building will be in one of the last 2 spots. This is an 8 or an 8, this is an 8 or an 8, stuff like that. But with this 8 already here, an 8 for sure has to go here. That means for the 7, the 8 has to go on the farthest spot. These still have options like here, 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 but let's look from the top. This 5. This 5 has to have its 8 in any of these cells. Well, 3 of them are gone, so this has to be an 8. What does that do? All of these now still give me a lot of options over here, but let's look at this top row. These are the only 2 cells that at the start could be an 8 because of values that aren't 1 from the top. That means this is an 8, which now means the 7 has to go to here, the 6 to here, and the 5 to here. So these are nice one-off edge elevator type entries. So what do I mean by that? The 7 has to have a 1 or a 2 in the first space, a 2 or a 3 in the next one, 3 or 4, 4 or 5, 5 or 6, 6 or 7. That's the only way. This has to be an escalating series with one of the numbers from 1 through 7 at the end. And you can do that actually in this direction too. For this 7, again, any number at all can be coming from this 2. A thing to notice is we actually work this out. All these then still carry that requirement 4. Like this 4 still needs to see a building here as well. These are the 4 buildings seen. So this is a 6, 7. And the 6 has to see all these buildings. So where this position has a more flexibility, it's 1, 2, or 3, it has to be a digit smaller than 3, 4. This will be a 4, 5. This will be a 5, 6. This will be 1, 2, 3, or 4. Again, it's a digit smaller than this. And then this is a 5, 6 or a 6, 7. Okay, this 7 is actually the one that's more interesting to see. It can't see a 5, 6 because it's too far from the start. So this is the hidden building, which means what it has is a 7, and then a 5, 6, and then 4, 3, 2, 1. So it's going to see these buildings coming up, and working together, this 5, 6 now has seen, it's a pair. This is a 7, this is a 4. Does that tell us anything? That tells us 3, 2, 1, 1. I think it gives us that. This is a 2, 3 cell. This is actually, is this forced at this time? This has to be seen, so all these are seen. And it's got to be not a 1, but smaller than a 3. So this is a 2, this is a 3. So these are all seen. It actually makes this cell pretty interesting. So this cell can't be 1, 2, or 3. It also can't be 4, but it's got to be part of a stretch where all of these are seen. So it can only be a 5, which means this is a 6, which means this is a 7. That means this is a 7, this is a 5. Is that all that we can conclude? I think so. We've got some interesting stuff starting to propagate now in the bottom. We have only small values for these cells. And I still have to place a 1 somewhere down here, but does that actually work for me? I think, yeah, all of these 3 are the 1s, so that means the last ones are up here. So this is a 1 and that's a 1, although I actually could have just, it looks like you can just look at those spaces and get that. So not necessarily as tricky as I'm making it out to be. This is probably still a good time, though, to just do some standard skyscrapery things. And for sure, looking at the big values is good in this time. So where can the last 7 go in this column? It's not in these spaces. It's down here. Let's look across. Where can the 7 go? I have just the... What do I have left? I have like this space. Yeah, let's look in this column. Where can the 7 go here? Well, it's already, these cells are no good. This is too close to this 4 because it's going to be seen, but it's going to be only 1 building after it, so it limited to a 3, so none of these are there, so this has to be a 7. Now these are the last cells for the last 2 7s, so this will have to be 7 and 7. This 4 still needs to get a good visible space to get up to this 8. And so I think this will be where just looking at the value 6 is going to be critical for us. And it's going to be critical a few different places, but let's actually start maybe from this 4. What buildings are seen by this 4? Well, the 8 is seen. The 3 and 1 are too far away to be seen, but these buildings can be seen. So how is this going to work? Well, with 1 and 3 taken, let's start with like 2, 4, 5. We'll see the 5 doesn't work there. Then 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, sweep. 5, 6, blah. So anyway, 7 is there. You'll see that the actual series of what's possible is 2, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6. And up here is 4, 6 and a 4, 6 pair. So these work together to say I have a 2 in the spot. That gives me 1, 2. That gives me 3. That now says, sorry, this is now down to just 1. This is 2. This now is forced to be 1. And now this is a 4, 5, 6. What buildings are seen by this 4 clue? This 4 clue needs to see 4 total buildings, and we have like these in consideration. One thing to note is that can a 6 be here or here? With the 7 hidden, the 6 would be the last building seen. So I think the first thing I'm seeing is a 6 has to be in the far side. And that actually forces with this 5, 4, these values to come down pretty quickly to a forced set. We now just have 2 and 6 in this row. We have 5 and 6 in this row. This is now all Latin square stuff. We have a 4 or 5 here. And probably just looking at this clue will finish us out. So this 3 is going to see 3 buildings. It will always see this 8. It will always see the 6. It needs to see a 5. So this has to have 5 right in front. That finishes this column this way, puts in this 4, puts in a 5, puts in a 6. We have 3 and 4 to go here, and 3 and 4 to go here. So I guess I have not finished it just with this 3 clue. These 4s both have to work. This 6 needs to see all these buildings, which is 3 and 4. This wants to see 4, 5, 6, and 8. So this is fine as 4 and 3. So we're through another of my puzzles from 10 years ago. I think we solved that pretty well and hopefully ran into some of the interesting logic that I was hoping you'd see through going through this puzzle. Thanks, and as I said at the start, we hope that you've enjoyed the first 10 years of Grandmaster Puzzles. We're excited for what the next 10 years will take and hopefully many more years beyond. We'll see you again soon.